Okay, we're going to do an oil change on a Kranzle 1152. I've just raised the pressure washer off the floor a little bit there, just so it's easier to work with underneath, just when we're using this this drain plug. So I have cracked this just to loosen it and nipped it back up just for ease of demonstration. There, it was quite tight. Okay, so I've got this pretty much level. I don't suppose it matters too much whether you're bang on level or just slightly off. But what I'll do to just make sure all the oil is out is actually just incline this a little bit while it's draining, just make sure everything comes out. I have got a little pot here. This model is supposed to have 250 millilitres of oil in there, and I will talk about the oil in a minute. So what I've got is a little drain tub there, and I've just marked off what 250 millilitres of where oil is going to go up this little window there, just to make sure I've got all of it, or nearly all of it, out, and there's nothing loitering in there. First thing I did when I bought this washer, I mean, I have read a few reviews on this, and this filling plug can be quite tight after some time. So the first thing I did when I bought this washer was to initially just crack that open and just use a bit of the oil on the dipstick there, and just rub it around the threads, and then just refitted, and it was fairly easy to get undone this time. So the instructions aren't very clear as to whether you're supposed to check the oil level with this unscrewed, with this cap unscrewed. So whether you would, from that particular state, wipe it, dip it, and then check the oil on this little flat there, or whether you're supposed to fully screw the thing in, and obviously it will go in a little bit deeper there. For the sake of argument, I'm going to check this just resting on the top now, assuming this has been filled correctly at the factory, which I'm going to take as gold standard. Then the oil level, once I've unscrewed that and dipped that to that point, the oil level, I don't know if you can just quite see in, I don't know if you can quite see in there, but that little flat there, the oil was basically banging in between the O and the K, just on there. So I'm taking that as being the correct level, oil level at that particular plane there. So as long as I refill this to that particular point on the dipstick with that just resting in there, then I know I'm good to go. Okay, so we've got the dipstick out, and we need to now loosen this drain plug. So this is why I've got this raised up here. Okay, so because I did crack this before, so it shouldn't be too tight. Right, so just nip that. So I'll just unscrew. Okay, you can just see. So the oil's coming out. It's kind of a, well, I'll show you the oil in a minute, but it's kind of a khaki colour. So just what I'm doing is just putting a screwdriver inside this drain plug, just clearing out any bits of oil. There is supposed to be a magnet in there. You can just see that in there. It is. There's a magnet in the bottom of that which will pick up any metallic sludge that's in the oil. So I'll just give that a clean out as best I can. Okay. Okay, the O-ring's in good condition. Just put that to one side. Okay, the oil's still dripping out. What I will do is just remove this block off there, just to let that go forward a little bit. There are 1 or 2 extra little drops just coming out there. I'll just leave that for a few seconds. I'll just move that backwards and forwards just to see if anything else comes out. Still a couple of drips coming out of there, so I'll just wait a couple of minutes and I'll pause the video and I'll come back when this is fully drained. Okay, so I'm happy that that's now fully drained out of there. So what I'm going to do is just stand the washer up. There's a couple of little drips coming out of there still. Just put a bit of paper under that just while we're talking. Okay, the oil that I'm going to use here is specifically for pressure washers. Now this is a non-detergent oil. There's some guidance out there that says that if you're using a pressure washer and the washer doesn't have an oil filter, then the idea is that you use non-detergent oil. And the thinking is with that any sort of particles that are sort of whirring as the pump is working will basically stick to the inside of the motor there. If you use a detergent oil, what will happen is that the detergent will clean off those little particles and they will be suspended in the oil and they'll be working their way around the pump and actually wear the pump, because there's no oil filter to get those little particles to be collected into. So where you don't have an oil filter, I understand the guidance is that you don't use an oil with detergent, so you want the detergent free oil. Okay, so that's what we've got here. So what we're just going to do before we do anything else, I'm just going to take let's use that dipstick, just use a little bit of the fresh oil, and I'll just put that just around the seal. Put on the drain plug. Just leave that there for a moment. Okay, that's nipped. Slide that up. Okay, now we can put our piece of timber back. We get back to the same level. Let's move that. Okay. Right, here is our waste oil. You can see that it's a little bit green, but we've got, well, it's quite level, but we've got, well, you can just quite see, and if I move that, we've got like 250 mil in there. So I'm happy that that's the vast majority of the oil out of that. Okay. So here's my funnel. There is a few videos out there that you might have come across that suggest taking off the shroud. I don't really see the point in doing that. So there you go. So this is a 1 litre bottle, so we should be down to around about 750 millilitres on here. So I shall pour this in carefully until we get somewhere near that point. Okay, we're not far off there, so what I'm going to do is just check that with the dipstick. And again, we're just resting that into that point. Just a little bit more. Okay, so we're just on the OK marking in there, so I'm happy that that is enough oil in there. What I will just do is just add a little bit of clean oil to the threads there, and then screw that back in. Just nip that with a screwdriver, and again, this doesn't need to be over tightened, so we're just nipping that there. So that is your oil change on your Kranzle 1152. I hope that was useful.